Bob Odenkirk is back as Hutch, trying to take a peaceful family vacation, but between corrupt sheriffs, bootlegging gang, and a villain played by Sharon Stone in full cartoon mode, things get bloody fast. Think National Lampoon's Vacation if Chevy Chase had a kill count. Welcome back to Atomic Cult Media. I'm Wes, and thanks for clicking on this video. And today we're looking at Nobody 2. Hutch tries to fix his marriage with a family trip to Plumerville, but one arcade fight later, he's back in assassin mode. Turns out the park's run by a crooked sheriff and Sharon Stone's bootlegging queenpin. Boat fights, lost fingers, and plenty of broken bones lead to a full-on Home Alone showdown at a carnival. I'm actually a big Bob Odenkirk fan, and I really enjoyed the first Nobody. I've been a fan of his since early high school when I first saw Mr. Show with Bob and David, which I would record on VHS and show Lucas, my podcast host on this channel. And after that, I would see him and David Cross in sporadic things, and I would totally mark out when I saw them in something. But then Odenkirk popped up in Breaking Bad the second season, and from there, his career seemingly really took off. And I really marked out when I saw him in that, because at the time, Breaking Bad was like my favorite show on TV. And I was actually really looking forward to Nobody 2 since it was directed by Timo Tjahjanto, who I reviewed some of his movies on here before. I really enjoy his style. Whenever no one's ever seen one of his movies, I kind of liken it to a ultra-violent action movie with the violence almost close to Terrifier levels. And I also think he has one of the best segments in VHS. But let's dive into Nobody 2. What did I think of it? I really enjoy just watching Bob Odenkirk in pretty much anything. It might be a controversial take, but I think Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad. And in this, he really does elevate this. I think he really carries this movie, and not to spoil my review or anything. He's just so relatable and charismatic, and apparently he did a lot of his own stunts in this. This dude is in his 60s now. And with Tjahjanto as the director, it's got great fight choreography. And this is just a straightforward action flick. It's not trying to be anything more than that. And kind of with a mix of some of these 80s vacation movies, it really gave me vibes of National Lampoon's Vacation, of course. I mean, they had the song in the trailer, but also The Great Outdoors. But even though it's just a straightforward action flick, it does try to do a little bit more with a couple of the characters, like turns I didn't really see coming. Particularly a couple of villainous characters that have a little bit more going on with them, and they get inserted in the plot a little bit more. And the whole final act takes place in a carnival, and I love me some third act carnivals. You have The Guest, you have Child's Play 3. It's probably the best part of Child's Play 3 for me. And especially in this movie, they're basically home aloning the carnival. And I mean, they have some practical explosions and stuff in this movie as well, so that was a treat. Everything has to be CGI. There's a lot of practical effects in this with the explosions and whatnot. So what held it back for me a little bit? Sharon Stone's character, which I didn't even realize it was Sharon Stone until the end credits. I just did not recognize her with her slick back hair and the glasses. I thought they resurrected Carrie Fisher for a second. But she was like, her character is just a little bit too cartoony and too over the top, even for this. I mean, this is over the top, but she just went way overboard with it. And maybe that wasn't her decision, maybe it was a director's decision. And apparently she improvised some of the villain lines, which, I mean, yeah, you can kind of tell. It goes a little overboard. It's a little cringy for me. There's a scene where she's dancing and stuff after she loses like a lot of money. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. It was a little bit too much for me. And even though I'm praising Timo Tjahjanto for his directing and his choreography in this, I feel a little bit let down just from watching his previous work like The Night Comes For Us or even The Shadow Strays. Yeah, this movie is violent. It's R-rated. There's some pretty decent gore scenes, but from what I've seen from him in the past, he went way further than that, and that's what I was kind of expecting. I was expecting a little bit more from this sequel, but overall, I'd give Nobody 2 a 3.5 out of 5. It's still a fun, straightforward action movie. It doesn't try to be anything more, and it's nothing really less than that. Maybe my expectations were a little elevated due to the director, but it was still a lot of fun to watch. So don't be looking for this to reinvent the action genre. Although I think I probably liked the first movie slightly more than this. And I'm still, crossing my fingers for like a John Wick universe crossover with this. Apparently there was a nod to John Wick in this where a barber mentions the Continental in passing. Maybe there is hope for that. But I won't hold my breath. Ballerina seems to have underperformed at the box office, and I'm not even really sure how well this movie will do. But let's see if Bob Odenkirk and Keanu Reeves will cross paths one of these days. But what did you think of Nobody 2? Should there be a John Wick Continental crossover with this movie? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure to appease the algorithm, guys. Give this video a like. Also, if you want more movie reviews and other junk, maybe subscribe and try to get me to that 1,000 subscriber count. As you may or may not know, I live in the west suburbs of Chicago, and I saw this at the Naperville AMC. So I basically saw a Bob Odenkirk movie in Bob Odenkirk's hometown. I even wore this shirt, the Second City shirt. This is the comedy place where Bob pretty much got his start too. But Bob Odenkirk wasn't there. What the heck, Bob? But I digress. The movie was good. It was a fun action flick. Maybe rent it sometime. But if you like the first one, you'll probably like this one. So I'll just see you later. Bye.